This is Scott Richmond.
And Arnie Sherman.
You're listening to What Do You Know on Newstalk KGVO, AM 1290 and 1015 FM. Good morning, Arnie Sherman.
Good morning, Scott. How are you today?
I'm well. How are you? It's a great Sunday morning.
Beautiful Sunday morning, and we are continuing in a vein that we've been in lately of sports shows.
Yeah, well, it's time.
And before any of our viewers who aren't sports fans turn us off, because there's some out there that don't like sports or thinks maybe we've done enough sports, we are bringing on local Missoula hero, Griz hero, Jacksonville Jaguar player, Jordan Tripp. So even if you're not a football fan or a sport fan, hearing the story of one of our own here locally who played at the University of Montana, whose father played at the University of Montana, and whose grandfather played at the University of Montana. You know, local boy makes good story. I don't think you can get tired of listening to that. No, I'm proud to bring someone on who can talk about his arc to the NFL and talk about what that means to him. And, you know, here he is back getting ready for camp, and he comes back to Missoula, Montana to get ready to before the season starts. So we're happy to have him here. And
it's in the genes with Jordan Tripp. It's his lineage.
Yeah, there's no question about that. And something next week is happening in sports that is very unusual.
What's that?
There is only 2 days a year where one of the four major sports aren't played.
Okay.
Now, when I mean major, NFL, NBA, National Hockey League, and Major League Baseball are almost continuous. But there are 2 days when none of those sports are actually taking place. And you know what they are?
No, what?
The day before and after the Major League All-Star Game.
Oh, wow. That's a good fact.
So that's a good trivia question.
That's a great fact.
Days? It's only 2 days. Now, of course, if you throw golf in and everything else, it's
but the four
365. But the big four,
right? Okay,
the big money-making four. There's only 2 days, and they happen to be next this coming week. On the 12th is the All-Star Game, and so on the Monday before and the day after, on the 11th and the 13th, there's no professional sports.
So this is good, though. So for
the women listening out there, that's when you get your husbands to go out there or your boyfriends and do the yard work and paint the house and, you know, collect scraps out of the garage and all of those sorts of things. Those are the days when they don't have any excuses.
Well, I'm interested to talk to Jordan Tripp because he's a young man. He's a successful player, and I'm sure, is he a student athlete? I mean, he was one of your students, right?
He was a student of mine. He was a good student, smart, earnest, sincere. Okay. And it falls into this other category that I don't know what they put in the water in Montana. But we talked about this when Mark Mariani was on, when we had Nick McCarville talking about the Olympics. We have a disproportionate number of players who are homegrown or who have made Montana their home by going to college that have ended up playing in the pros. We got more than a dozen of them in the NFL. And that's very unusual. There's probably more players that are coming out of University of Montana that are right in the pros right now making a living and a career out of professional football than from schools like University of Illinois. I'm sure we have
that is. Is it scouts get a good look at these guys and there's not a lot of clutter to, get in the way?
I think it's the work ethic.
Ah.
People like Colt Anderson grew up in Butte, has a coal mining, natural resources town where, they play hard-nosed, tough football.
Sure.
I think it's that, the work ethic. It's the fact that you have to be an overachiever, really, to come out of a place like that. It's a lot easier to come out of, New York, Chicago, Florida. I mean, Florida and Florida State are just pro football
Texas.
Minor league teams.
Right.
And they all gravitate there. Mm-hmm. People don't necessarily come to Montana to play in the NFL. They come here because they love football.
I wonder if when we speak to Jordan, we're going to get the sense of kind of that we had with Mariani, where there's no givens. They're not deeded a spot on the team. They have to earn it every year.
Right.
And so he still has to earn his spot.
Oh, sure, he has to earn his spot. I mean, when you think about it, it is pretty amazing. He played, and we'll ask him about it. He played in as a linebacker.
Right.
Standing next to him, for I think 3 or 4 of the years was Brock Coyle. Brock Coyle has got a Super Bowl ring playing for the Seattle Mariners.
Right.
I mean, excuse me, the Seattle Seahawks.
Right.
So 2 linebackers
No,
on
the Broncos.
No.
Brock Coyle. I'm sorry.
Right.
Well,
and this year in the draft just a couple of weeks ago in the 5th round, the Jacksonville Jaguars drafted Tyrone Holmes from the University of Montana. So there are 2 defensive players that are on the roster of the Jacksonville Jaguars. So there is something in the water. There's something about the coaching. There's something about the Montana history and tradition.
Right. They love their football.
They love their football here more than, and when you're back east or on the coast, you don't think of Montana as a football, factory.
Right.
But we've turned out a disproportionate number, and Jordy is a classic example. 6'3", 245, now 25 years old, heading into his 3rd season. Could have been cast aside. He had an injury, and the Dolphins cut him. He was drafted by the Dolphins in the 5th round. They cut him.
What was his injury?
He got a chest injury, and they let him sit out and then cut him because younger guys coming up, or they worried about his injury. And a couple of games into the season, Jacksonville picked him up and signed him to a 2-year contract. So I'm anxious to hear about what he thinks, how he's preparing, what's in the water in Montana. What it was like coming out of Big Sky High School here in Missoula, and then going on to play for the Griz, and then going on into the NFL.
He's just 25. He's Jordan Tripp. He's going to be our guest next on What Do You Know with Scott and Arnie. Back after this. All right, we're back.
Jordan, it's good to have you in the studio. How you doing?
Great to be here.
You were back in Missoula training, getting ready for the season, right?
Yeah, it's awesome to be back. See the family. Absolutely love Montana. Spend the next few weeks here, and then head back down to Jacksonville early, get used to that heat again.
I know it'll be hot, won't it? Hot and humid. Where do you guys train?
It's hot, but it's very humid.
Train?
Oh, they keep us right in Jacksonville.
They keep you in Jacksonville.
Yeah. Yep.
And when
close to the stadium?
Yeah, it's actually the facility is all one part. What's just nice about our organization right there too. One of the great things about it is our practice facility is right at the stadium.
That's great.
Yeah, you don't have to travel too far. It's nice.
And
Good.
Camp begins when?
We report on the 27th of July, and I'll get there probably on the 23rd or 24th just to get used to the heat.
Right, and then you open up against the Packers the first game of the season. Is that who you're opening against?
Yes.
That's a pretty daunting task to start off.
Yeah, pretty good football team.
Yeah, you'll be having your sights set on Aaron Rodgers, right?
He's a very talented quarterback, and they got a very talented offense. I'm not too sure about their defense, but they're a very consistently good football team, and got a lot of work to do before then.
So when you were going to Big Sky High School, every kid who's playing football is thinking about, the NFL, right? Playing college ball in the NFL.
Right, yeah.
Did you did you really, in your heart of hearts, think this was going to happen to you?
Yeah. My parents were very supportive. It was always a dream, but you can have a goal. And my dad always told me it was a journey, and you got to take a million steps to get there. And if you skip any, you're not going to,
right?
Or you're going to eliminate your chances to make it. And things started to progress. Things started to unfold a certain way, and a lot of the guys before me, some of my good buddies, Mark, Mariani, Colt Anderson, who you could kind of see how they did it, kind of helped pave the way for a lot of us.
Well, a lot of folks would call you guys lunch pail players, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's something in the water. There's something in the attitude. There's something in the discipline of growing up here, because we have a disproportionate number of athletes from Montana and from the University of Montana who are in the NFL right now.
Yeah, kind of goes back to my first head coach in college, Bobby Houck, said what makes a good football player and a good football team is work ethic and toughness, and those two constants that'll never change. And if you stay true to those two things, you're going to set yourself up and give yourself a damn good chance of being successful.
One of the great things about Bobby, as you know, I was at the University of Montana. He would come around every semester and show up at class to see if the students, if the athletes were in class. It is student athletes, and they say it that way
in
for
class,
a reason.
In the front 2 rows.
That's right. He was in
Is
my
that right?
class
They
in the
require-
front row, every class. Never missed a class.
That's great.
And Bobby and other coaches would come around to make sure and ask questions. Are they doing okay? Do they need any help?
Yeah.
I mean, there really was a commitment to students. And it would have been, I saw, Mark was a student of mine, and I've seen a lot of players, graduate and go on and try a professional career. But it was amazing to see you and Brock Coyle right next to each other in the Griz. As Griz linebackers, both going into the NFL. One of them has a Super Bowl ring. You'll be getting yours this year or next year, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, it's actually pretty cool, to have one of your best friends share that journey with you. You can relate about a lot of things, and our head coach down there now, Coach Bradley, spent a lot of time with Coach Carroll. So there's a lot of similarities, and we can talk about a lot of similarities, and then not only Brock, but having Zach Wegman and Tyrone Holmes now, who is down in Jacksonville. So those guys are your good buddies. You put in a lot of hours with them to work. So when you get to share
how cool is
something like
that? Actually,
it's pretty special.
You're watching the NFL draft like everyone. I was watching it, and Tyrone gets drafted in the 5th round, just like you did, and he's going to Jacksonville.
Yeah.
So did you call him up, welcome him, tell him?
I called him immediately, and then I had to text all the linebackers and all the coaches and let them know the Montana boy is coming. But it's pretty special.
I mean, he did something that you did. I mean, there's some parallels. He killed it in the combine.
Oh yeah.
And you killed it in the combine. I mean, your numbers were in the top 2 or 3 in most of the categories.
Yeah, that's especially coming from an FCS school compared to an FBS school. Like you said, Montana is in the top, I want to say it's either the top 30 or top 25 of all colleges in the country with the amount of players and NFL products that we do have. So when you do that, you have to capitalize on that opportunity. Just if you have an opportunity to play in FBS school or go to the combine or do great at pro day or go to a postseason bowl game, because that's going to have a lot of validity to your name and going to the next level, and that's something that he did very well.
Well, it's also, I think, some of the commitment over the years. I mean, I've been a Griz fan since I've been here almost 20 years now, but the commitment to defense, because most of the players that came out of Montana are playing on the D side of the line.
Yeah.
From the few others are Mark and you got Dan Carpenter and you got
Lex Hilliard.
Lex was there. Was there, but our running back when
Justin Green. I mean, there's been a few guys, but
most of them were defense. Most of them
absolutely.
were defensive line.
Absolutely.
So when you're growing up in Missoula, going to Big Sky, but even before that, you were probably playing Pee Wee, right? Or Pop Warner?
Yeah, Little Grizzly football.
Little Grizzly
right
football.
In Missoula, yeah.
Did you, when you were doing that and you were kept on going to the next level, did you always have your eyes set on, I'm going to play in that stadium, in Washington Grizzly Stadium?
Yeah,
you knew that was going to happen.
Yeah, it was a dream, growing up watching it. My grandfather played there. My dad played there. Going up and just having a strong tie to the university, and it meant a lot to me. And I think that's another difference that makes it this place so special is you get Montana kids, and they want to play so hard and they want to go so hard because it means so much to them.
Sure.
There's something of substance there, and that's what makes the University of Montana, or one of the reasons it makes it so special, is you get hardworking people who really care about the university and what they're representing. So growing up, playing Little Griz football, watching the games, and then going to a camp and having Coach Houck offer me was awesome. It was a dream come true. And then, God willing, I got an opportunity to play in the NFL, and I want to carry that out as long as I possibly can. And it's just a dream. It's a blessing to do what I love.
So plus, you've had your trials and tribulation. You got drafted by the Dolphins, and then you got hurt.
Yeah.
Right. And then you got cut, and that's always I mean, you're an All-American player. You're FCS first team All-American. You get drafted in the 5th round. Miami's right. They're writing great stories about you, and then you get hurt and cut.
Yeah.
What were you thinking at that point?
It was. I could kind of relate it back to my true. Well, it was in 2011. My true junior year when I blew my shoulder out. And a lot of my buddies who I'd spent so much time with, and they went to the national semifinal that year, to watch them go through and win those games and have a great run and potentially win a national championship. To have to sit on the sideline and watch that was tough, but it made me grow not only physically but mentally, and watch one of my best friends, Caleb McSurdy, who is an unbelievable linebacker here, who actually got hurt as well, but watch the way he kind of took it on with his faith and work ethic and everything, allowed me to grow as a player.
Well, Caleb got drafted by Dallas, right, or got signed and then got hurt.
Yeah. So having that happen made me a better player my junior and senior year of college. And then never really being hurt in college except for my shoulder. Then when I got dinged up in Miami, it forced me to grow and, really boil down and focus on what's important. So then when I got to a better organization, a better fit when I was healthier in Jacksonville, I really appreciate the organization there, the coaching staff, the defense, the special teams coordinator, and having those relationships and being healthy and at a better organization is phenomenal because I'm very appreciative of it, and I've grown a lot.
Well, it makes you grow up fast. I mean, you're 25 years old, right? And a lot of your buddies, when you come back to town, are probably obviously not in the same position you are. You're an executive of a football team. I mean, the players are the professionals, and you're a part of the organization.
Right.
They're paying you a lot of money, and you're in a if you would compare it to a private business, you're in a senior position, an important key position in the organization.
Well, what was that moment though when you were injured? I mean, an injury in Miami. I mean, you could have gone one of two ways, and you went the right way in the sense of as you said. Who helped you besides the other player you had mentioned? Who else? Were there sports psychologists? Was there team personnel?
That's all a big part of it, and primarily is my faith. But I would have to say,
your faith in God,
absolutely. And but the biggest thing on that is the things that have happened before. Like I said, with injury in my shoulder, and like those little things like Coach Houck told us between work ethic and toughness. Now, are you going to fold like a wet paper bag, or are you going to push forward? Do you love this or not? And that's one of the things that he wanted to see, as a young guy coming in, they're going to test you and they're going to see what you're made of. But that's why we won so many close games with him, is because you were put to that test and he found out if you wanted to be there or not. And you know what? If you were there, it's because you loved it and you wanted to be there.
That's great.
If you could relate to that, down the road, yes, I'm smarter, yes, I'm older, but I love it and I want to be there. So you're going to have to do certain things to achieve that. And then once you do, you become better out, on the other side.
Well, his faith is important because, as I heard from one of the MSU players, when they finally went up to heaven and got to the pearly gates, the pearly gates had silver and maroon, and they had a hard time getting through. So your faith is well founded. So you're and without being too critical, you're with two different organizations, both in Florida, Dolphins and Jaguar. Are they similar in how they do things, or is there a noticeable difference between the two franchises? You've only been with two.
Yeah.
Is there a noticeable difference?
Absolutely different.
Really?
Absolutely different. Miami was not as much my style as it is in Jacksonville.
And your style being
why is that?
Because it's and I truly mean this. It's very special in Jacksonville between the players and coaches and the relationships that we have there with one another, as far as everyone, and just playing with clarity and having Coach Bradley and the whole entire staff with the amount of energy that they bring every single day. It makes you want to play for someone like that.
Well, so it's like Bobby Houck, right? It's like the Bobby Houck.
Right, yes.
Right, when you were here.
But weren't
you could tell players wanted to play for Bobby.
But weren't you in awe of the legacy of where you were when you were in Miami? I mean, just thinking.
Not really. I was
Zonka.
I was very happy to have the opportunity to play there.
Right.
But it just wasn't even as close to as special as what we have going on in Jacksonville. And I could not be happier being in Jacksonville with the amount of energy that we have there, the type of players that he has there. You can see why, if you kind of relate it to Seattle, and you see how much energy and how much momentum and how much movement and everything that they have there. Coach Bradley was there with Coach Carroll, and he's a phenomenal defensive mind and a phenomenal person, but you see, on our team, no matter what, the guys, and we want to play for those coaches because we know that they care about us. Just as Coach Houck cared a lot about us.
Well,
just how Coach Delaney cared a lot about us.
Right.
That's all business.
And when you have a relationship with them, if you know that he has your back and I have your back, that's that's a big difference.
Well, it's also, you pointed, it's the right fit. I mean, we talked earlier in one of our shows, DeMarco Murray had a great season with Dallas, and then he moves to Philadelphia, and he's nothing, right? I mean, he's benched.
Yes, and I mean,
it's the same guy. He didn't have an injury. He was benched because the the scheme.
You can look around and find numerous guys that maybe aren't necessarily on the front headlines that will go from one team and be cut 2 or 3 times, and then 2 years later have a $35 million contract, and that's because they have a better fit with a different team, a different organization, and it's just one of those things. If I said, if you love it and you stick with it, good things are going to happen, and you just have to find the right fit. If you look around the league, there's a lot of guys who are scratching and clawing to make a team. And somebody maybe gets rid of them, and then 2 years down the road, that's
they're doing great.
That's their guy. So,
so you're a first-team All-American in Montana. You're quick. Your time was 4.67, pretty quick for a linebacker. How much faster is it when you're in the pros and you're lining up in a game?
It is, but I would say the biggest thing is, and a lot of my buddies that attest to this, is the mental aspect. They're the, first and second, third string, whatever, whoever it is there. Sometimes, the second string guy, the third string guy might be faster than the first string guy, but as far as mental capacity and reaction time and study and understanding the game and, in our case, where you fit on defense or special teams and the proper technique you use is going to allow you to play a lot faster and be more efficient. So if you are lacking in that area, above the shoulders.
So are you training for a different kind of position this time? I mean, you're playing, they've moved you from middle linebacker to outside linebacker, and I know how specialized that is in the NFL. So are you learning new schemes, you learning new techniques that you didn't have, you didn't do in college?
I mean, there's we have so much more time in the NFL to do certain things, and learning from a great veteran, Paul Lesney, 10-year veteran, been an All-Pro, Pro Bowl linebacker, and he's one of the smartest guys I've ever been around. And I have great linebacker coaches, but to be able to use those coaches and learn from him is not something that happens every day around the NFL. There's not a lot of guys out there like that, and he's willing to help me a lot, and it's made me a much better football player, and I've taken that, and I've learned more about ball this last year than I have my whole career, and it's made a big difference on the field.
That's impressive.
And it says a lot.
And with our special teams coach, and this goes back to Coach Bradley and his whole philosophy, with working with one another so we can eliminate clutter and just have clarity and play fast.
So preparing for your career as a sports announcer when you finish your career, give me your rationale of why we should pay attention to the Jaguars this year. What are they going to do that's going to separate them from the pack?
I was going to say is one thing is just it's going to be very special. You're going to see high energy, people flying around, people caring about what they're doing, and you could see that last year. We had a lot of close games that we should have won, but we and it's not an excuse that we have a young team, but
you do have a young team. How old? Your quarterback's younger than you are.
Well, the same age, but we're continuing to grow, and it's going to be a lot of fun, and it goes back to that belief. Every single I've said this before, but every team in the NFL right now is going to give you a reason why they're going to win the Super Bowl.
Sure,
right.
But nobody knows until you go strap it up and you go play, and that's why we play the game. So you have to believe in it, believe in your system, believe in one another, your coaches, and go out there and just let it fly because, like I said, everybody can talk till they're blue in the face right now about why they're going to win the Super Bowl.
Are you guys a tight group? I mean, are you guys
very tight? Yeah, and that's what's special because, I've been on a lot of teams where, everybody's, they talk, they, whatever, but it's different in the locker room. It's different to where, you're hanging out with guys around the team, maybe not from your position group necessarily.
Right, you guys are all just together.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
So is there a player on the team that you like to stand on the sidelines and watch because they're just so...
Oh, Paul, 100%.
Yeah, him?
Lesney. I'll sit there and, watch him, and we'll go in and study tape. And when he got hurt last year and I got to start, he's right there helping me. And
well, you got good reviews for starting for him, too.
It was good, and a lot of it is due to our coaches and him helping me get ready. And, that's only going to continue to build. And, just as far as special teams, there's a lot of guys around the NFL. One of them being Colt Anderson, one of the best special teams players in the NFL.
Sure.
And
it's up in Buffalo now.
And to have, we get to see him next year, and to have him,
that'll be
and
fun.
to have him, help me, and have a guy like Paul to where you can sit down on your off days or afterwards and ask him, what are you looking at? What's your key here? Like, why are you doing this? Why'd you do that? But he gives you reason behind it, and it just allows you to make those little changes. It's going to make a big difference in your game.
So how many linebackers are going to be in camp when you show up?
Probably, I don't know, probably 10.
And how many are going to make the team?
Probably 6.
So there are 4 guys that are going to be out of a job.
Yeah.
How does that make you feel?
Love it. It's competitive.
Right.
Go out and make plays, take care of business.
Yeah, that's what you have to have, the right mentality, right? I mean, it's, when we had Mark Mariani on the show, they got 12 receivers. They're only going to keep 5 or 6.
Yeah.
This young guy gunning for him, and the guy pulled out of Western Michigan, Danny Braverman. They're looking at him as a young Mark. Mark is the second oldest receiver on the Bears now. But it has to be no other career, no other industry has a situation where 10 guys show up and 4 of them are going to be gone.
Yeah.
And you're competing, and every single day you're being scrutinized, watched, analyzed, timed.
Yeah.
And you have the mentality, it seems, to thrive in that kind of environment.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I love that, that competitive nature, and being able to go out there and, really see where the amount of work that you put in is going to directly correlate to how you perform and what you're able to do.
But you're very poised. So how do you keep the game face and kind of your focus?
Right.
And then when you're off the field and you're just interacting with friends or family, as you're doing here in Missoula, how do you keep a level head and you don't? You know what I mean? How do you?
No, it's it just in my mind goes back to just controlling what you can, and this is what we were talking about with having a very level head and very focus on the things that are truly important. I can control what I can. I can control how much I study, how much I take care of my body, how much I train, how much film I study. Am I taking the proper steps? Like, are my keys right? Is my technique right? Focusing on what you can control, and studying more and more and more to eliminate clutter so you have clarity and you can go play fast. You can control all those things. I'm not going to control what the guy behind me is doing. But
aren't there temptations when you're on a professional sports team and you're in a big city and it's you got downtime?
But yeah, there is. There's
we've seen any given Sunday. We know what happens on the weekend.
Right? Have you been watching any given?
There's one of the great coaches, one of the Ryan brothers said, there's a big difference between having smart and being stupid and having fun. You can have fun as long as it doesn't mess with your priorities. Being stupid is letting it mess with your priorities.
Sure.
So what are your priorities? Do you want to be the best you can be, or do you just kind of want to maybe give it a shot and be okay? So, you can go have fun. I'm not saying that none of us don't go have fun.
Right.
But, what's your priority? Do you want to be your best? Well, then you better put in the work. You better study. You better take care of business, because if you don't, somebody else will.
Right.
And, that's just a fact.
And the window's short, how long
so, you have, in my case, God willing, I want to play for 8 more years as long as I possibly can.
Right.
And,
but that's funny in and of itself. You're end of your career, you're 33. You're like just starting out in most other industries, right?
Yeah, exactly. So it's a lot of
that
fun,
number,
though.
by the way, Jordan? How did you come up with that number? Is that just the
10 years.
life expectancy
10
of the linebacker?
10 years.
So
10 years.
So you're on the Griz team with a quarterback like Jordy Johnson, right?
Yeah.
Scrambling, running around.
Oh, yeah.
Now you're on a team with Blake Bortles, 6'5", 245. What's it like to see an offense run by a guy like that?
It's awesome, but at the same time, it's kind of funny because you watch an amazing quarterback like Drew Brees, who is the exact same size as Jordan Johnson, and
right.
There's different types of guys out there, and Drew Brees is.
He's amazing considering his age. He's still playing.
How old is he?
You play against
34, 5 now.
You play against
maybe
him,
older.
You play against him in person. You're just like, wow.
How does he do that?
Yeah, and then you got a guy like Blake who is a big, athletic, strong, smart, and got a cannon.
He's got a cannon for sure.
He's got a hose, and it's.
Are you ever in awe? Well, actually, when you're playing the opposing team and you just know kind of like.
Yeah, there'll be times like there'll be a play that happens. You just look at your buddy or look at him and be like, wow, all right, next play. Like, let's go. I don't know.
It's like it's like watching the the NBA championship. You watch LeBron and you just it's like superhuman.
You're like, all right, well, that just happened.
Yeah, right. I've never seen it before, but it just happened right in front of me.
He's just that good. He's just that much
well,
better.
or you watch Seattle. You watch Russell Wilson be Magic Man. Looks like he stopped in the backfield and all of a sudden he breaks through. And,
I mean, you watch certain athletes do certain things, go up and get the ball or make an unbelievable tackle or an unbelievable interception. You're just like, wow.
Well, you'll be on the field, hopefully against Aaron Rodgers. And he's a magic man when he's healthy, and he's got decent receivers, and that's going to be you're going to want to sack him and try to get him.
What did you? I'm curious. What did you think about the Super Bowl this year? Like the whole hype and kind of like that's the big game for you guys.
Yeah.
Even if you're not playing.
No, it is.
It's the penultimate of your profession.
It's unbelievable. But just like that, some of the guys in that game, you just watch them do certain things, and you're just like, wow. It's pretty impressive. I mean, if you watch a guy like Von Miller,
who has the same number as you, by the way. I don't know if that's coincidental or not.
His get off and his motor. If you watch him play, you're just like, if you watch him, you're just like, wow. It's But then you can watch some of the guys on certain defenses around the NFL and watch their defense play that way, or watch your own defense play that way. And
the teams like Arizona, right, that have that awesome defense. But Von Miller almost is like a one-man wrecking crew on that team, and it's hard to do that in the NFL.
Yeah,
Were you surprised that the Panthers didn't put up I forgot what was the score, but it was a tough game for them.
Well, the defense
fell down.
Ruled.
Couldn't get the ball off.
Could not. I mean, it's just incredible.
Tight coverage and a good pass rush.
Is that what it is? So they just Denver dominates from
They get a little extra time from their DBs, and their DBs are able to take chances because they're getting hit.
Right.
They work in conjunction with one another, and it's pretty cool to watch. But when we're clicking on defense and we have tight coverage and a good pass rush and everything in between, everybody's doing their job. It's right. It works the way it's supposed
perfection.
to. Yeah.
Right. So in the few years you've been on the field, has there been a player on the other team that's been the toughest one to try to get your hands on or get after? Anybody stand out?
I still have to go back to playing Taiwan Jones or Vernon Adams at Eastern Washington. Those two guys.
College. Those guys.
Those two guys. I thought Vernon Adams was the best player I played against in college.
Were you surprised he didn't get drafted? I was surprised.
I was, but at the same time, he's one of the ones who's smaller and undersized, so they're gonna force him to go prove himself. Just as a guy like Colt Anderson did. He had to prove himself here, and then he got to, and he was better than anybody in my mind coming out in the NFL, and they made him go to practice squad, and then now, if you ask any special teams coach in the NFL, they're like, yeah, he's one of the best players in the NFL.
I mean,
let's ask you.
That's what Parcells said about him. I'm glad to have him on this team. He's one of the best.
Is that what he said?
That's why he picked him up in Buffalo. Yeah.
Let's ask a question of Jordan. So we talked about Colt Anderson. The hat Jordy's wearing is up top.
Colt, top
okay.
hat.
So Colt has a plan. Even when he's still playing, he's an active player who's doing this, has his business on the side, which is great.
Yeah.
Does anything like that exist for you? Have you given any thought to that?
You know what? Somewhat, yes. Not maybe not in the respect of clothing or anything like that, but as of right now, when I'm done, I want to coach. And just developing relationships as you go. And kind of taking bits and pieces, from as a player, and knowing what works best for you. And there's different types of players and how they learn, but seeing coaches and how they coach and how they relay information and what works for them. So as a player, being able to experience it firsthand, and then not only that, but at the highest level, is going to help you a lot down the road.
Do you want to coach at high school or college, pro, or all?
As of right now, college, but I could, it might be the NFL. So it's.
You want to come to Missoula and be head coach of the Griz?
Maybe.
That would be a good fit.
Yeah, that would be a good fit. But do your coaches over time say, hey, when I talk to you, you seem to understand this and process this and get this. Have you ever thought about what coaching might look like? Are they talking to you about that?
Yeah.
Or are you just picking up on it from just what you like?
No, I'll definitely ask them questions about it. Right. Hey, where'd you start? What'd you do? what do you guys do here? What do you guys do there? And, if you get and it's all about just like working together and being, the most efficient and productive you can. But if you ask them, like, what are you guys looking at here? Why are we doing this? And you can understand the concept, the big picture as to why you're doing it, then everybody's on the same page, and it's not just segmented between, coach, player, or player, coach. And if everybody's on the same page, then, you're trying to run this defense and you understand, all right, we're trying to do this because we want to get him to throw it to the slot because this guy's going to be right here. Well, then you know how the defense works, so you can try to capitalize on it. And it's pretty cool when you have that going on rather than, this is what you have to do.
Sure.
What do you do when you encounter a teammate, a player who is either just, I don't know, disruptive, rude, their ego's out of check? Because you have to encounter that. All the time. How do you handle that? Because I am curious to know how other players.
Coach Bradley takes care of a lot of that.
Is that right?
He notices it?
But in this way, the types of guys that he has on the team. And, there's always guys that, not everybody's the same. Not everybody's going to be best friends. But, working together and having a certain identity, to your team is going to allow you to work together more, and to be more productive. So, when you deal with certain things, it's not just one person saying something to that guy. It's the whole team holding everybody accountable.
Right.
Yeah. So, when it comes down to that, if somebody is kind of being selfish, egotistical, not protecting the team or something like that, that's on the team, that's not on just one person,
Right.
And if that guy does say something, he snaps at him, and you got 52 other guys, backing him up.
Sure. So let me switch gears with you for a minute.
Good.
You're a business student. You were a good business student. Graduated University of Montana.
I'm a good teacher,
degree.
so I'm a good professor.
Sucking up helps every once in a while. No,
you can't get a good grade.
He was a good student. He was a good student.
Get a good grade.
I can't go back and change your grades now. I'm sorry. I know he was an A student. So you're a business student. You have a business degree. You're in a business. The NFL is a business on one hand.
Yes.
You get paid during the season. You don't get paid off season.
Right.
Do they give you enough support, not you personally, but players in general, enough support in the league to understand how to manage your business life so that you don't walk out of the league and you're waiting for your retirement or you found wandering around in a parking lot like they found the guy who used to play for Portland. The one player came out of Providence, so they just found him begging for money in a parking lot.
Oh, is that right?
Somewhere. Yeah. I mean, what do you get enough of that, or they say, "Hey, man, you got to figure it out for yourself"?
No, so they have a lot of programs around the NFL, and a lot of those being implemented in our every single day meeting. We might have 2 meetings a week with the NFLPA that they set up for financial meetings between what are you going to do, your investments within land or private equities or whatever it be. Here's your nest egg and how are you going to get there? What's your plan?
Right.
And such. So, they give those things to us. And, being my 3rd year now, I've seen it grow in the last 3 years of more and more, So I don't know what it was at the level before I got there, but there's definitely resources out there. And it's continuing to grow and continuing to get better. And I feel like, for me, you just have to if you plant that seed, it'll raise your awareness, and you're gonna want to learn more, because it's essentially your future. So
that's good.
So
preparedness.
Yeah, and it just kind of goes along with everything.
What do you do? You're a role model, right? So you come back home to Missoula. You are a role model to a lot of people in the community, both adults as well as children. When parents come up to you and they talk to you and they say, "Hey, Jordy, I want my son to play Little Griz or high school, but I'm afraid because of head injuries, or I'm afraid of," how do you talk to that parent? How do you
and with the whole head injury deal, there are certain things in a lot of studies that there's more awareness about that now to get rid of or prevent or take care of your body more. So that. In that respect, you just have to understand that anything you do, there is going to be risk, whether it is football, soccer. There's damn near just as many concussions with soccer.
Sure.
Rugby, or whatever it be. For me, my parents never forced me to do anything, and I always wanted to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you support your kids and you try to get them to do as much as they can, as much as they love, they're going to find their way and they're going to do what they're supposed to do. You just have to trust and believe it, and just understand that anything you do, there's going to be, a risk to it. But, with the raised awareness and even the different ways that we're taught to tackle now and take care of our bodies, take care of our heads, proper hydration,
Sure.
It just goes back to, the more
diet.
the more the better off you're going to be.
So does your family come to see you play?
Yeah.
They all
Down
come?
in Jacksonville?
Yeah.
They come
Or
down
on
to
the road,
Jacksonville?
yeah.
Or the road, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Road tickets, too.
They get to a lot of games, which is nice. And, sometimes the other family finds their way down there when it's the winter up here. So,
Yeah.
they get a little bit warmer.
What's it like, by the way?
Let's do a quick idea, Arnie.
Sure.
Let's do a quick idea. You're listening to What Do You Know with Scott and Arnie on KGVO. Our guest is Jordan Tripp. We will be right back after these words. All right, we're back with Jordan Tripp.
So is there a difference practicing and playing half your games in Jacksonville where it's hot and humid, and does that make a difference? Particularly also for players coming in from different places. If you're coming in from Denver, for example, to play down there.
Yeah.
You got to get used to it?
Yeah, you do. And it's just one of those things now where I don't know if it's because you expect it or your body, slightly adjusts or whatever it is. It's definitely, I would say, a little bit of a curve to get used to it or learn about it or whatever it is. But that heat's a little bit of a difference. It is.
Sure. And do you like living down there in Jacksonville?
I love Jacksonville.
It's a little bit different than Missoula.
It is. but at the same time, that's northern Florida is it's kind of like the South. People are very friendly there.
Yes.
Right,
and it's a lot more country. It's more rural, not really a rat race. And I like that. I like that about Jacksonville.
Sure. And you got the whole, Georgia coast with this great place to go, Amelia Island.
Yeah.
And Sea Island.
Yeah, you got Amelia Island. You got, the beaches right there. You got Neptune, Atlantic Beach, some amazing seafood, some of my
and you got a
favorite
good draw
spots
there.
over there.
You got a good draw.
Yeah.
I mean, people come to you from multiple states to see Jacksonville
Did you
play.
know you like seafood as much as you did?
I didn't, and then I got,
You're out here.
and then I got to Jacksonville. I really liked it a lot.
What are coming back here, what are the things that you like to do when you come back to Missoula? What do you miss about Missoula?
Well, the mountains.
Beside a Mo
Besides
burger,
family.
Mo Club burger.
The Mo burger.
Yeah.
Mo burger?
But
You can get a Mo burger.
yeah, just coming back, just the country, the wide open fields and mountains and streams and stuff that you may not realize when you're here for so long until you're gone and come back. I think I've spent more time than I ever have, out at my grandfather's ranch, the past couple of weeks. Just get done training and go out there for the afternoon, go fish or whatever.
Who do you train with? And tell me what a typical day. I mean, it used to be that people would go to camp to get in shape. Now you have to be in shape when you get to camp, right? Because it's a short camp, and then you're right into exhibition games.
Yeah.
So what's your regiment like?
Yeah. So I mean, you're
in pretty good shape.
Yeah.
Now.
Yeah. You have your, you have your nutrition. These are the non-training things. You're gonna have your nutrition. You're gonna have your massage, your tissue work. Your pool or hot tub or whatever to keep your body in great condition, because your recovery is just as important as your training.
Right.
If you're training hard, you got to recover hard. So, as far as training, some of the guys out here that I've been training with, which is nice for the Montana guys. You're going to have, Colt, Brock, Chase, and a lot of those guys, Tyrone. But we all get together and we get a lot of good workouts, and so it's nice to have those guys out here. You'll run in the morning and lift in the afternoon, or run and lift in the morning, and then.
How far do you run? How much running do you do?
No distance. It's just
sprints
and tempos, and very little rest in between, just to kind of build and try to simulate the game.
How are your knees?
Good. They're good.
So important.
Does coaches stay in touch with you off season? Does call you up, ask you how you're doing?
They'll call you, ask you how you're doing. They'll shoot you a text. you know, it'll, and that's one of the cool things with our coaches, you know, is, you know, they do stay in contact.
Sure.
Not only
You had mini camp a few weeks ago,
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
yep.
So they saw you. They saw what kind of shape you were in.
Yeah.
They checked you out.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, and then, you know, they give you what you need to do when you're gone to perform at the level that you should. And then it's up to you to go do it and take care of business.
I love it. You know what? Think about it. You're down in Jacksonville when he has a lot of friends, I'm sure, that play on the team. Off season, they're going to want to come to Montana.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah, they want to see what this is like.
This is exotic.
Okay, so, I mean, yeah, obviously we just had, you know, the 4th of July weekend.
Right.
And went up to Flathead Lake, and one of my buddies that I train with at California Strength down in San Francisco, you know, in the Silicon Valley area, we always talked about it. He finally made his way up here, and he saw everything. He's like, wow, this is awesome, you know?
Yeah, it's like another country.
Yeah, he just flew out and
Couldn't believe it.
yeah, you know, so it's pretty cool to bring some of your buddies back here, you know,
Right.
show them where you're from and what it's all about.
Montana.
Yeah.
So, on a personal level, you don't have to name a name or anything. Do you have a financial advisor that's helping you personally manage your money?
Absolutely.
I mean, you only get paid for 16 weeks, and then
Right.
you're done.
Right.
You pack your locker after the last game. If you're not in the playoffs, if you're not in the Super Bowl, you're goodbye. And here's your checklist for the off season, and
Right.
we'll see you at minicamp.
Right.
So, you have somebody that you work with?
Yes, I do, and you know, that's something that I took my whole first year, and you know, just continued to educate myself about it and find out what I really wanted, and what type of person I wanted, and you know, that's something just like picking an agent or just like you know, anything in that respect, to where it's going to be directly tied to you in your future. You know, you have to put a lot of thought into that, but I do. And that's why, you know, you continue to learn, and then you can bounce certain ideas off of them, and you know, you can talk and collaborate and continue to develop that relationship so you are more successful.
Do you know how I know he's really smart in that aspect? He didn't call me. I understood.
Maybe I should have.
No. I think you're doing very well.
But the Players Association, it sounds like they really take care of you guys.
Well, they try, because there are examples of guys who blow everything. They live at a high level, and they don't come down and run out of money before the season starts.
But they tend to start with more money. That's usually the problem.
Yeah, you know,
more money, more problems.
Yeah, the Players Association does. They give us a lot of information, you know, and a lot of support. But you know, you can take it for what it is, you know. Right. But you know, you have to educate yourself too. You know, it's not up to somebody else. You know, you have to have self accountability in that respect. And you know, I'm not saying that we're all perfect, but you got
to have some fun. I mean, you earned it, right?
That's what I was going to say. What do you do? Okay, it's a Sunday night. The game's over. You guys won. What do you do after the game? Go home. You ice, obviously.
Yeah, usually. So, I mean, as far as my fun time is probably usually right after the season.
Not during the season. There's no fun?
Maybe one or two times during the season.
You don't go to like Fuddruckers after a game?
Yeah.
That's what you consider fun. I don't think that's what he considers.
I'm curious.
Oh, man.
Jordan, after the game.
It's because the season's so damn long. If you don't take care of your body immediately, you know, Wednesday's on you pretty soon, and you're out there rolling again, you know. And then you got the Thursday night games, you know, and that's a short week.
So what happens Monday, Tuesday?
Monday, Tuesday. So, you know, you get done with the game on Sunday.
Right.
You come in the next day on Monday. You have a workout and meetings, and then you have that night and Tuesday off. So that's your recovery time until you have practice Wednesday. So that night and Tuesday is going to be massage,
ESPN,
tissue work. Oh yeah, ESPN, of course.
Yeah,
of course. But it's getting your body.
I love this.
Back or as close to back is where to where it was before.
Does someone cook for you? Do you have a chef?
You know, yes, they do at the facility, and I eat most of my food.
Do you?
You know, they have great.
It's like being at camp.
There.
That is smart.
That's right.
Save
smart.
money.
Saves money.
Save money and eat well.
So some of our listeners are women. And you're a handsome fellow, and you know you're in great shape, and you're making bank. So what do you do about dating? I mean, you're not married.
man.
You're not married. How do you handle that during the season? I mean, there are people that want to date you. I've been around players getting off the bus and on the bus, before and after games. There's a lot of women around, and they're attracted to professional athletes.
Yeah,
clearly.
It's just one of those things. Is what are you looking for? For me, looking for a good girl. Hopefully she's a country girl, Montana.
Oh yeah.
So
E-I-E-I-O. Yeah.
See, look at this guy over here. No, I'm just kidding.
No.
But
but I like
Farmers.com. That's where he finds his dates.
Yeah, but what happens when you go to you fly in a Friday night into?
Well, I got to just tell you, I was once at a hotel in Fort Lauderdale, and it just so happened that the Kansas City Chiefs, this is back in the day, were staying there for a game against the Dolphins, and the lobby was just packed with women with signs and all, and the team bus pulled up. The team bus pulled up. And all the players, got off, and they said hi and whatever. But then 2 limos pulled up, and one of them, Joe Montana, came out of, and the other one, Marcus Allen, came out of.
Yeah.
And that's all the women were, just going nuts.
Marcus Allen again. Marcus Allen enters the story.
Yeah, enters the story. So I mean, you have those temptations, right? And you don't want to go too.
Right, Jordan. You're going to Chicago. You're going to play in Chicago. You get to the team hotel, which is a Four Seasons or a Peninsula or some really, banging hotel.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. Right.
They check in. You go right to your room, or do you like?
Yeah. So we have
curfew.
I think we have like 3 or 4 hours before we have meetings and stuff. So usually everybody just takes their time with their families there, see the family, go eat.
That's right. Okay.
And then look through your notes again, and then
there's not as much downtime for trouble as what it sounds like.
Oh no, everything's pretty locked up as far as that.
So do you have
the NBA, by the way?
You rent a place in Jacksonville?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And you don't have a
screaming deal in
long-term lease. You don't sign you might year to year kind of a lease.
Yeah, I just do it with 12-month.
Right, and you live by yourself?
Yeah.
Okay.
Arnie, he could get a 4-bedroom.
I know. I'm
3-bath.
He's watching his money.
On a river for like $2,000.
No, I mean his salary is public. Right, his salary is public, and he makes a lot more money than most people in Missoula make.
Jacksonville's very inexpensive to live in.
Except for you and me.
Isn't that great?
I love it. It's so great.
Yeah,
that's where Miami becomes a problem.
No,
I mean, you have it, and then you just develop develop a budget, and then anything.
And what are you
residual,
driving? What are you driving?
Same truck I had in college.
See.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Ladies
there?
Yep.
Ladies that are listening in, this is the kind of guy you want. He saves his money. He doesn't. He's not.
What kind of
he's not lavishing it on himself.
A Dodge Ram Charger?
Just a Dodge Ram.
1500?
1500.
Really? Diesel?
No. Yeah.
Gas. Okay, I like that.
No.
Get a new contract,
smart.
then get a diesel. But
he had good teachers. He had good teachers at the University of Montana. He had good professors that told him.
Any boats or ATVs or Humvees or anything?
No. Those look like a lot of fun, though.
Right.
But no.
But do you really? I mean, seriously, do you have friends who come because they know you're making a lot of money, want to borrow money, or want you to invest in stuff?
You know what? I hear about a lot of that with some of my good buddies.
Right.
I haven't ran into that.
Well, that's good.
But I have a lot of good friends where I've seen that happen.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate too, because sometimes they want to help, but at the same time, they're kind of cutting themselves and bleeding out a little bit.
It was one of the things about Muhammad Ali when he passed on. They talked about how many people he came to him, and he was a soft touch.
The gravy train.
Yeah, the gravy train.
Hey, one of the gals that works with us, his last name is Leffler.
Oh.
You know Doug.
Very well.
Do you train with Doug?
I've done a lot of training with Doug, and I tell you what, that guy.
It's Christy Leffler.
Yep, right. I can't say enough about him, the type of guy he is, and the amount of work that he's helped not only me with, but Brock Coyle, all those guys. We've had a lot of work together, and he's a great guy.
We have to get him on the show, Arnie. You're right. I agree with you.
Yeah.
Doug's a great guy. He's got such an interesting look on at life and outlook and philosophy.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
And it's
so do you pay attention to Griz football now? We got a new coach with a new kind of offense. Mm-hmm. Is that interesting to you? And do you keep an eye on it?
No,
It
is very much so, and I've been in there a couple times, and it's interesting to see what they got going there. I'm not as well versed on the offensive side of the ball, but going in there and meeting with their defensive coaches, one of which I played with.
Well, that's kind of weird, isn't it? You play with them now, their coach, Shane, yeah.
But the new defensive coordinator, Coach Seymour, and Coach Niekamp, the linebacker coach, had some great meetings with them and just kind of talked to them about certain things. And I'm interested to see how it goes. They got a lot of cool stuff going on and some really good coaches.
You saw that most of the games this year are going to be under the lights.
I know.
So that's going to be a big difference.
Mm-hmm. Friday night. Oh, no, that's right, Saturday night.
Yeah, this is not high school.
I like Friday Night Lights. I think we got to wrap it up, Arnie.
Sure. Jordan, it's been a pleasure. We're going to watch with great anticipation the Jaguar season this year and root for you. And we'd love to, when you're back in town, bring in and talk again about how things are progressing for you.
Love it.
Thank you, Jordan.
Thank you.
All right, we'll see you next week, Arnie, on What Do You Know? Thank you for listening to What Do You Know?
I can't wait for the next show, Scott.
I'm excited too, Arnie. If you'd like to suggest a guest, send me an email at scottrichmond@townsquaremedia.com. We'll see you next week. And thanks for listening to Newstalk KGVO, AM 1290, 1015 FM, and newstalkkgvo.com.